Hey, my name is Jonah Parzen-Johnson, and I'm here at Reverb to talk about playing saxophone through different kinds of electronics. A lot of people don't think about saxophone as something that goes with electronics, but I think not only can that be a really awesome combination, but if you use it in certain ways, you can make it something where you have all the cool parts about the saxophone getting enhanced while also adding a whole new set of different sounds that you can make. There's a lot of different stuff going on here, but before I start with any of that, I wanted to spend a second to talk about getting saxophone into the pedal board. I use this Shure Beta 98 clip-on microphone to get into the saxophone, and that's because it's really small and I know exactly what it's going to do. And going out of the microphone, I go into the pedal board through a jack that I put into the back of the board, and that goes through into a Rolls preamp. After it goes through the preamp, I go into this one control effects loop that has a dry wet mix. Not only do I have an effects loop there, but actually going out of that effects loop, I go into another one. And what that allows me to do is to take all of the effects I have and turn them on and off at the beginning and the end at the same time. After going through the Rolls preamp into the one control, I go into this Boss line selector. Out of the line selector, I'm going into this Moogerfooger Freq Box. Going out of there, I'm going into Dave Smith Mopho, which is a single voice of the Prophet 08. Out of there, I'm going into MXR carbon copy delay, which is nice. I really keep it at the same setting all the time just for body. And then it goes back out of the line selector, back into the blender, and that goes out into an amp. All right, so I'm gonna do some different sounds now, but before that, this saxophone, it's a baritone saxophone. It's H cuff model. Going out of the pedal board, I'm going into this Hughes & Kettner Tubemeister 18 amp. So I'm gonna start out with a sound that is just Freq Box going into the Mopho with a little bit of 4-pole low pass filter going through the delay and back out the board mixed with clean saxophone. And I'm going to be using the expression pedal to modulate the pitch of the Freq Box. Cool, so on this one I'm using the same stuff with the Freq Box, but then on top of that I'm using the Mopho as kind of a multiple tremolo engine. And I'm using this little expression pedal bank to trigger some very high jumps in the Freq Box's oscillator. This one, I'm using LFOs in the Mopho to modulate a resonant 4-pole low-pass filter. And then I'm feeding oscillator sounds coming from the Freq Box into that, and then it sort of, by whatever pitch it is, makes different stuff jump out. A little bit of filter and resonance running, but then I also have the two oscillators on the Mopho running in a kind of harmony in high-pitched noises while I put a low oscillator coming from the Moogerfooger through it. But then I have a second envelope using the audio in control on the Mopho and a square wave LFO to create a pulsating sound only on the lower note. Last one, I'm going to do something where I have a set of triangle waves modulating the VCA independently, which creates a kind of wavy sound. And then I'm using a combination of mid-level pitches from the oscillators on the Mopho and a lower melody that I'm playing using the expression pedal and this little custom pedal and the Freq Box. On that one, I was also singing into the saxophone. All right, so that's a bunch of different stuff you can do with a saxophone and a bunch of different synthesizers and guitar effects pedals. You don't just have to do that with saxophone. This whole setup could work really well with a bunch of different instruments. It's mostly just about building something simple that you can turn in a lot of different directions and do a lot of different stuff with. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.